Good morning, everybody, and welcome to another day of virtual Ag Days. So today we're going to be talking about rabbits, and it's being so close to Easter and everything, so we'll give you some tips on if you're going to get a bunny for Easter and how to take care of it. So I have here a Dutch rabbit, which is suitable for a younger kid. They're very easygoing. So some of the Rexes, the Dutches, the Polishes, the Rex are some of the most popular breeds. They're smaller and they're much easier for the little kids to handle. So with that being said, so now we have to worry about how we're going to take care of our little rabbit. How are we going to keep it inside or outside? All of mine stay outside because they go to the fair. So we keep them in the garage, and in the winter, the rabbits can handle the cold much, much better than they can the heat. So they just eat a little more, and it keeps them going. And if it gets really cold, we'll give them a nest box with some straw in it that they can hunker down. And we change their water quite a few times during the day when it's cold if it freezes. And then in the summer, you just need to keep it well ventilated. You can keep them out in the shade. And if you have them indoors, like in a garage or something, make sure you have some good ventilation and have some fans running. That helps keep the rabbits and change their water quite a bit. So we're going to talk about rabbits and their use here real quick, and then we'll go back. So I have mostly small rabbits. So rabbits are used for a few things. For pets, people can show them. They're also used, the commercial rabbits, which are some of your bigger rabbits, like the Californians, the Florida Whites, your New Zealands. Those are your rabbits that are used for meat. Rabbits are an excellent source of protein. You cook rabbit a whole lot of different ways. And then there are some rabbits that are used strictly for the wool. And this is where your Angora sweaters come from. It's rabbit fur. Or rabbit wool, I should say. So that would be your Angoras or your Jersey woolies. And those guys require a lot of care because because you want a good high fiber content on their wool and everything. And those little guys need a lot of care because they have to be brushed out constantly. And they also need to be shaved 2 or 3 times a year to get the wool off of them. Said here I have Amos. He's my little Dutch rabbit. And so when you're picking out a rabbit, so you want to make sure you have a rabbit has a nice strong build to him, nice shiny coat, nice shiny eye, no eye drainage or anything like that. Nothing coming out the nose because respiratory problems seem to be the biggest things for bunnies. So when you look at a rabbit too, also when you have a rabbit, you might see something in their left ear. And I'm working the camera all by myself. So we might see a number in here. So Amos has a number of A1. So he's used at a show, and this is his identification number. So some rabbits have that. So this is one type of rabbit, a Dutch rabbit, which is awesome for the little guys. So we'll go get another rabbit, and we'll do some grooming. So this is a Polish rabbit. This is Fred. So when I groom a rabbit, so they do molt. It's called molting when they shed out 2 or 3 times a year. So we might start out with just your normal slicker brush like you would have for your dog, but I have some that's just for the rabbits, and I will just brush them out just like this. Now rabbits are inquisitive little things, and Fred is an exceptionally inquisitive little rabbit. So that means if you're keeping a rabbit inside the house, you definitely need to keep all of your electrical cords up because rabbits will chew. Not just to chew, but that's part of the way how they find out about things. So they're for their curiousness, that's the thing that they do. So we also just use little combs on them sometimes. And then also to help them some out, we can also just use some water. We spray that in our hand, rub it in, and then we rub that all into the rabbit, and then that brings out a lot of the extra dead hair and everything. So we have to trim nails too. So once again, I just use the regular dog nail clippers, and along with that, we also have some quick stop, which is your septic powder. So with my guys, the proper way to pick them up if you're going to flip them over, I take my index finger, put it between their ears, and then another hand under their rear end and flip them like that. And you just do their nails the same way as you would do a dog. And you just want to take them back just a little bitty bit. So you don't want to quick them, because if you do quick them, you want to use your powder on them. And then you just flip them back over. So if you have a rabbit that's kind of scared when he's out, Fred's an old hand at this, so if I cover up their eyes, then they will just be really still. So see how Fred just got really still for me. Okay, so if you have a bigger rabbit, you need more room. So smaller rabbits can have a smaller hutch. Mine, all, like I said, all stay outside. So bigger rabbits require more room, so they're heavier. So we also have them on wire so that the feces can go on down through the wire. So the rabbits are never actually in their own stuff. And I have a pan under mine since they're in the garage. Some people let it drop onto the ground and then they just pick it up all the time. So they can get a thing that's called sore hocks. So that would be their back legs right here. Especially happens on the bigger rabbits. They get some little open sores because they're heavy. So we can prevent that one way of putting a board down for them to lay on, or I have little plastic grates that mine lay on too. An old piece of drywall will work wonders too. And if the rabbit chews the drywall or the wood, that's okay. So when I'm fixing sore hocks, if I see my rabbit has a sore hock, we'll just use some preparation H. So we just have some generic preparation H, and we just put that on their hocks a couple times a day until that's all healed up. But the best thing to do if you've got a bigger rabbit is put something down so they can get off of the wire to lay down on if they choose. So when we identify rabbits, like I said, we look at Fred here. He's LG1. So there's a couple of ways we tattoo them. One is the new way, which is, yes, it looks like a spin brush, which is exactly what this part is, but it also has a human tattoo needle on it. So we just dip that into the ink, and we would just write it in as we needed to. And this one is the much more preferred method now, because you can write more letters or more numbers, however it needs to be, to identify your rabbit. And then we have the old-fashioned way, which was just the pins. You inserted them inside the pliers there, made sure you had it the right way up. This requires usually 2 people, because you would stick that into the ear like that and squish, and then bring it out. And then after you do this one, you would put in the black ink on there, and that would be how you would do that. So, guys, also, food dishes. Make sure you feed the proper amount. We use ceramic crocks to feed mine in. We have the plastic water bottles, but we also disinfect thoroughly. Yes. Rabbits don't get COVID, but they get snuffles, which is the respiratory disease. So when I disinfect my stuff, I use a 1 part bleach to 10 parts water, and I will just soak the dishes for a few minutes in that solution, then rinse them thoroughly, dry them, and then put them back into the cage. Food, you need to feed a good high quality rabbit food with at least a 16% protein content. if you're showing a rabbit or your rabbit is being used for breeding, they need a little bit higher content because they're busy, their bodies are producing milk, or they're under the stress of being out in a show and traveling and everything. And Fred is doing something that a lot of rabbit knows. I know he's healthy. He's grooming himself. So the more a rabbit will groom on himself, the healthier that rabbits are going to be. So we've talked about the food. So leafy green vegetables, that's okay every once in a while, but as a habit, that's not something we'd want to do all the time. My guys just get pellets. Might give them like 3 or 4 plain Cheerios once a week as a treat, or the rolled oats, not the instant oats, but like the Quaker oats in the big thing. They might get a little bit like that once a week. And then your Timothy hay, that can be given to them. That helps with the roughage, to help keeps everything going through the rabbit, because rabbits cannot throw up, so they have to pass stuff on through. They're kind of like a horse in that respect. Rabbits can't sweat, so they can only pant, or they can dissipate a little sweat out through their ears here. So that's about the hay and everything. Food, so like I said, they make great pets. They're easy to care for. So that's about it. I'll get one more rabbit out that's a good one for little kids, but you don't see very many of these out and about in this part of the state. This is a Himalayan rabbit. Her name is Wednesday. So she's pretty cool. This is a fancy rabbit too. So this is one that would be used for show. I mean, you could use my little guys for meat, but they would only be like an hors d'oeuvre. So she kind of gets stacked like this, so when I show her, so they kind of look like a paper towel tube. Yeah. So it's just like that. And I will tell you, in my experience, if you're going to get a rabbit just for a pet to either have in the house or just one for the kid, the bucks, which is the male rabbit, seem to make better pets because the does, which are the female rabbits, they have a tendency to be a little territorial. Like when you would try to get them out of their hutch, they're like, leave me alone. But once you get them out of the hutch, they're like usually my best rabbits that I like to mess around with. But getting them out sometimes, they're kind of a stinker. Miss Wednesday here is a good little girl. She's one of my favorites just because everybody can mess with her and do what they want with her. Because I do have a couple of rabbits that people have given to me because they just found them out and about. So please, guys, if you're going to get one for Easter, don't do it just because it's a cute little furry little thing. This is a commitment of anywhere from about 8 to 12 years, just like a dog. So don't turn them loose, because these guys can't run and take care of themselves like the rabbits in the wild, because they don't know. They've not been used to that. So really think hard. Make sure this is something you really want and that you're going to keep and take care of. So with that, we'll say goodbye. Hopefully next year we'll see you out at Ag Days for real when the weather's awesome like this again. And hopefully we'll see you at the fair, and I'll see you down at the rabbit barn, or maybe even at the dog show. So take care, guys, and have a good one. Stay safe. Here, stay in there for a second.